The night sky above the alien capital was painted in shades of violet and gold, glowing with strange twin moons that made everything shimmer like a dream. Captain Ryan Hale, the only human ambassador on this world, stood inside the royal hall of the Serathians, a proud and ancient alien race known for their fierce honor and beauty. Around him, tall alien guards with shining skin and golden eyes watched in silence. The air felt heavy, not because of heat, but because of what was about to happen. The queen sat on her throne, tall and graceful, her silver eyes reflecting power and wisdom. Her voice echoed through the chamber, calm but sharp like a blade. "We have welcomed your kind among us, human. But before peace can be trusted, we must see loyalty, not in words but in action." Ryan bowed deeply, his heart racing. He had spent months building this fragile alliance between humans and the Serathians, hoping to end the long war that had taken countless lives. But now, standing before their queen, he felt like a soldier again, trapped on a battlefield with no map. From behind the queen stepped a young alien woman, tall yet delicate with skin that glowed faintly under the moonlight and eyes as blue as the ocean on Earth. Her name was Lyra, a royal attendant and daughter of one of the queen's closest advisors. She looked at Ryan, and for a brief second he saw something strange, fear mixed with curiosity. The queen's voice grew colder. "Lyra has declared that humans can love easily but rarely stay loyal. She says your kind follows feelings, not oaths. If she is wrong, prove it." Ryan's eyes widened. "Prove loyalty?" he asked carefully. The hall went silent. Then Lyra took a small step forward and said, her voice trembling yet strong, "Our queen demands proof of loyalty. Only mating, only the bond of life can convince her." Gasps filled the chamber. The alien guards exchanged confused looks while the queen simply watched, her face unreadable. Ryan froze, unsure if he had heard correctly. Was this a test or a trap? Lyra's eyes softened when she saw his confusion. "You don't understand our ways," she said softly. "In Serathian culture, mating isn't just physical. It's a soul vow, a promise that cannot be broken. It means your life is tied to mine, and betrayal would destroy both." Ryan's mind raced. If he refused, the queen might see it as insult, proof that humans couldn't be trusted. But if he accepted, he would be bound forever to a woman he barely knew, in a world that still feared his kind. The queen leaned forward, her gaze cold but curious. "You came here asking for peace, human. You asked us to trust your race. Trust is not built on speeches, it is built on sacrifice." Ryan looked at Lyra again. Her blue eyes were filled with something new, maybe sorrow, maybe hope. She whispered, "Don't answer quickly. Think with your heart, not your fear." He felt torn between duty and emotion. Every instinct told him this was dangerous. But another voice, deeper, quieter, told him that this might be the only way to truly show humanity's heart to the Serathians. Finally, Ryan lifted his head. "If this is the Queen's demand," he said slowly, "then I accept your test. I'll prove that humans are loyal, not through power or speech, but through bond." The Queen's lips curved slightly. "So be it," she said, her tone both satisfied and mysterious. "Tomorrow under the moons, the ritual will begin." Lyra bowed her head, hiding her expression. When the Queen and guards left the hall, she turned to Ryan. "You don't understand what you've agreed to," she whispered. "This test, it's not meant to be passed." Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. "Then why did you suggest it?" he asked. Lyra looked away. "Because if you fail, the Queen will have reason to destroy your alliance, and she will destroy you too. But if you succeed," her voice lowered, almost trembling, "you won't be the same man anymore." Outside, thunder rumbled through the alien sky. The two moons shone brighter as if watching silently. The test of loyalty had begun, not with war, not with weapons, but with the most dangerous thing of all, the heart. And deep inside the palace, unknown to Ryan, spies and courtiers whispered to the Queen. They doubted the human could survive what was coming. Yet one of them asked, "What if he truly means it?" The Queen's cold eyes flickered just for a second. "Then the universe," she murmured, "will change tonight." The night of the ritual came faster than Ryan expected, and the alien world seemed to hold its breath. The twin moons hung high above the mountains, their soft light spilling over the glass-like surface of the palace courtyard. Strange runes glowed on the ground, forming a perfect circle around an ancient stone altar. Lyra stood within it, her silver hair flowing like liquid light. Her eyes fixed on the horizon. Ryan approached slowly, wearing the ceremonial robe the attendants had given him. Simple, white and marked with glowing blue lines that pulsed with his heartbeat, he felt out of place like a shadow in a world made of light. The silence around them was thick, filled with unseen watchers. Lyra turned when he entered the circle. Her face was calm, but her hands trembled slightly. "Once this begins," she said softly, "there is no return. The Queen will watch through the bond, and so will the ancestors." Ryan nodded, trying to stay composed. "I understand," he said, though he didn't. His heart was pounding too fast for him to think clearly. A group of elder Serathians appeared behind the altar, their eyes glowing faintly as they began to chant in a language Ryan couldn't understand. The air shimmered around them, and he felt a strange warmth spreading from his chest. The Queen watched from a balcony above, her eyes fixed on them like a predator studying prey. Lyra stepped closer until her face was only inches from his. "You must not fight it," she whispered. "If you resist the bond, it will tear your soul apart." Ryan took a shaky breath. "What happens if I don't resist?" She looked into his eyes. "Then we will share everything, pain, memory, truth. You will know me, and I will know you." The chanting grew louder. Suddenly, the runes beneath them flared with blue fire, and Ryan felt something grab hold of his mind. Images rushed through his head, flashes of Lyra's memories. A childhood under alien skies, training in royal service, fear of the Queen's wrath, and shame for doubting the human alliance. He saw her standing in the rain once, watching ships burn in orbit, whispering, "Humans did this." Ryan gasped as the images shifted again, his own memories bleeding into hers. A battlefield. The sound of gunfire, the faces of fallen soldiers. The day he promised never to start another war. Lyra's eyes widened as she saw it too, her lips trembling. "You've lost so much," she whispered. "And you've hidden your pain behind duty," Ryan said quietly, realizing that the bond allowed him to speak thoughts he hadn't formed. The energy between them pulsed brighter. The Queen's voice echoed from above, powerful and cold. "What do you see, Lyra of the Serathians? Has the human shown his loyalty?" Lyra hesitated. Her breathing grew uneven, her body trembling as the bond dug deeper. I see truth," she said slowly. "I see pain, fear, and hope. He is not what I thought." Ryan wanted to speak, but his throat burned. The power around them intensified, and suddenly, he felt a sharp sting at the back of his neck. A line of light connected him to Lyra, glowing bright blue. The bond had taken root. The elders fell silent. The energy faded, leaving only the sound of the wind and Lyra's heavy breathing. The Queen stood from her throne above. "So the bond is formed," she said. "But will it endure? Loyalty is not proven in a moment. It is tested in fire." Her voice carried a strange weight, one that made Ryan's chest tighten. Something told him this wasn't over. As the crowd dispersed, Lyra leaned against the altar, exhausted. "You should not have done this," she said. "The Queen will not stop now. She will try to break the bond, to see if your loyalty survives when everything is taken from you." Ryan looked up at the balcony where the Queen had stood moments ago. "Then I'll endure whatever she sends," he said quietly. "If this is what it takes for her to see that humans can be loyal, I'll prove it." Lyra's eyes softened, but there was fear behind them. "You don't know what she's capable of. The next test, it won't just test loyalty. It will test your humanity." Ryan turned to face her fully. "Then let her. Humanity isn't afraid of trials." Above them, thunder rolled again, and the twin moons seemed to glow brighter, as if warning them both. Inside the royal chambers, the Queen spoke quietly to her generals. "He has bound himself willingly," she said. "Now let us see how far his loyalty goes when his heart is the weapon we turn against him." Outside, Lyra closed her eyes, sensing danger. The bond flickered faintly between her and Ryan, alive and glowing. Neither of them knew it yet, but the Queen's real test had already begun. The morning after the ritual, the palace was quiet, too quiet. Ryan woke to a strange warmth in his chest, like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. When he placed his hand there, he felt a faint pulse, and somewhere in the distance, Lyra gasped softly, feeling it too. The bond was alive. It connected them even when they were apart, whispering emotions across the air like invisible threads. Ryan dressed and stepped out into the long crystal hallway. Alien light filtered through tall windows, bathing everything in blue. The guards who had once looked at him with suspicion now bowed slightly. Their eyes filled with something new, fear or respect. He couldn't tell. As he reached the audience chamber, the queen was already waiting, sitting tall upon her throne. Her golden crown shimmered like liquid sunlight. Around her stood the council, warriors, nobles, and priests who had gathered to witness what would happen next. Captain Hale, the queen began, her tone calm but edged with command. You completed the ritual. You wear the bond proudly, but loyalty is not sealed by vows. It is proven by sacrifice. Ryan straightened. I'm ready to prove it, Your Majesty. Her eyes narrowed slightly, as if testing his courage. Good. Then your first trial begins today. The chamber doors opened. 2 guards brought in a wounded Serathian soldier, bloodied, weak, barely standing. This warrior, the queen said, was caught passing information to your human fleet. His betrayal cost lives. Ryan froze. He's a spy? Yes, the queen replied coldly. And you will decide his fate. Kill him and prove your loyalty to Serathia. Spare him, and prove that your human heart cannot let go of weakness. The entire hall fell silent. Lyra stood to the side, her face pale, her eyes locked on Ryan. Through the bond, he felt her fear, her silent plea. Don't do this. Don't let her twist you. Ryan clenched his fists. The queen's test wasn't about justice, it was about breaking him. Your Majesty, he said slowly, if he betrayed both sides, then let me question him. Killing him now gains nothing. The queen's voice turned icy. You question my judgment? Ryan held her gaze. No, I question his reason. Maybe he was forced. Maybe he thought he was saving lives. Gasps spread through the council. The queen stood, her aura flaring with golden light. Then you refuse my command? I refuse to kill without truth, Ryan said firmly. The queen's lips curved almost into a smile, but not one of kindness. So be it, you've chosen mercy. Let mercy be your chain, she waved her hand. Guards dragged the wounded soldier away. Lyra ran forward, whispering, You shouldn't have defied her. No one disobeys the queen and lives peacefully. Ryan's jaw tightened. I didn't come here to be her weapon. That night, as he returned to his quarters, he felt a strange pain in his chest. The bond pulsed violently. Somewhere across the palace, Lyra cried out in pain too. The queen was watching. She was punishing them through the connection. Ryan fell to his knees, gripping the floor. He heard her voice inside his head, soft, cold, and cruel. You claim loyalty, human, yet you defy me. If you will not bleed for me, then she will. Stop. He shouted aloud, but the pain didn't stop. It only grew sharper. Through the link, he could sense Lyra's trembling heart, her fear mixing with his. Finally, the bond dimmed, leaving both of them gasping. Moments later, Lyra burst into his room, her face pale. She's testing how much you can endure. The queen believes loyalty must be bought with suffering. If she sees you break, she'll end you, and maybe me too. Ryan's breathing slowed. Then she'll never see me break. Lyra looked at him for a long moment, her blue eyes glistening. You're not like the others, she whispered. Most humans would have chosen power over mercy. He gave a faint smile. Maybe humanity's loyalty is different. We don't prove it by cruelty, we prove it by care. Lyra's voice trembled. Then I hope your heart is as strong as your words, because her next test will destroy one of us, Ryan frowned. What do you mean? Lyra turned toward the window, watching the twin moons rise once more. She plans to break the bond. If it resists, one of us will die. She wants to see if you'll still call it loyalty when love becomes pain. Ryan stepped closer, placing a hand on her shoulder. Then we'll face it together. She turned, eyes filled with something between hope and fear. You don't understand. When the bond deepens, we start to share not just emotions, but fate. If one falls, the other follows. Outside, the alien sky rumbled with thunder again, as if warning them. The queen watched from her high balcony, her eyes cold and calculating. Let the human believe he can endure, she whispered to her advisor. Tomorrow I'll show him what loyalty truly costs. And far below, in the quiet of the night, Ryan and Lyra stood side by side, 2 hearts bound by fate, unaware that the next dawn would demand more than courage. It would demand a choice between love and survival. The morning came with a strange silence. The alien sky, once full of violet and gold, had turned gray, heavy with storm clouds. Inside the palace, servants whispered nervously, avoiding eye contact with anyone. They all knew the queen's next test was about to begin. Ryan stood in the great hall, his hands bound with silver cuffs glowing with runes. Lyra stood beside him, her expression pale and frightened. Though her lips were silent, Ryan could feel her heartbeat echoing in his chest through the bond. Every pulse was a warning. The Queen entered with slow, graceful steps, her long cloak dragging across the polished floor. Her eyes, cold and unblinking, moved between Ryan and Lyra like a judge measuring guilt. "The human has shown mercy," she said, her voice calm yet sharp. "But mercy can hide weakness. Today I will see the truth." Ryan lifted his head. "If you want truth, ask me. Don't punish her." The Queen's eyes narrowed. "You speak as if you understand the bond, human. But you do not. You see it as a link of hearts, not as a chain of power." She raised her hand. At once the floor beneath them began to glow. Circles of light expanded around Ryan and Lyra, locking them inside a dome of shimmering energy. The air crackled, heavy with invisible force. Lyra gasped, clutching her chest. "She's activating the bond's reversal," she cried. Ryan stepped forward. "What does that mean?" Lyra looked up, her eyes full of terror. "It means she's going to tear it apart from the inside." The Queen's voice echoed through the hall. "If your loyalty is true, your souls will hold. If it is false, the bond will destroy you both." A surge of energy slammed into them. Ryan fell to his knees as pain ripped through his body. It wasn't physical, it was deeper, like his memories, his emotions were being pulled out of him. Flashes of his life burned behind his eyes. His home on Earth, the soldiers he'd lost. The promise he'd made never to let hatred rule again. Through the bond. He felt Lyra's memories too, her childhood. Her family, her fear of failing the Queen. Her secret guilt for doubting humanity. Their emotions collided like two storms, too strong to separate. The Queen watched in silence, her eyes glowing faintly. The court whispered in awe and fear. Lyra screamed as the light around them grew blinding. Ryan crawled toward her, fighting the invisible pressure trying to pull them apart. "Hold on," he shouted. "Don't let go!" She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "If I hold on, you'll die. The bond is taking your life force." "Then let it take it," Ryan shouted. "I'd rather die than see you suffer alone." For a second, everything stopped. The light flickered. Even the Queen's expression changed, just slightly. Lyra's voice trembled. "You can't mean that." Ryan reached her, gripping her trembling hand. "I do. You said the bond is a promise of loyalty. Then let my loyalty speak." The Queen raised her hand to increase the energy, but suddenly the runes on the floor exploded in a burst of blue light. The bond rejected her command. The energy turned wild, twisting around Ryan and Lyra like a storm. Guards shouted and backed away. The Queen shielded her eyes, whispering, "Impossible." When the light finally faded, Ryan and Lyra were still standing. Their hands were joined, their chests glowing with the same mark, a bright blue symbol of unity. The bond hadn't broken. It had evolved. The Queen stared at them, silent for a long moment. Her power hadn't destroyed the human. It had strengthened him. Ryan stood tall, breathing hard. "You wanted proof of loyalty," he said. "Now you have it. I didn't fight for myself. I fought for her. That's what loyalty means." The Queen's voice was quiet but dangerous. "You speak boldly, human. But you have not won yet. The bond may survive pain, but can it survive betrayal?" She turned and gestured to the guards. "Take him to the lower chambers. Tomorrow he will face his final test." Lyra stepped forward. "No, you can't!" The guards seized Ryan, pulling him away. Through the bond, he could feel Lyra's terror and sorrow bleeding into his heart like fire. As he was dragged through the corridor, he whispered to her through the connection, "Don't give up. I'm still here." She closed her eyes, whispering back, "If she hurts you, I'll find you. No matter where she hides you." That night, as thunder rolled outside, Ryan sat alone in the dark cell beneath the palace. Chains glowed softly around his wrists, pulsing with alien energy. He could feel Lyra's heartbeat through the bond, weak, distant, but alive. Somewhere above, the Queen stood by her balcony, watching the lightning strike the towers.
"He survived the bond," she murmured.
"But tomorrow I'll give him a choice no heart can endure. Then we'll see if his loyalty still shines." The storm raged harder, shaking the skies. The true test was yet to come, one that would force Ryan to decide between the woman he had come to love and the peace he had come to protect. The storm outside had not stopped since the night before, its thunder shaking the walls of the palace. Lightning flashed through the narrow slit of Ryan's prison cell, revealing the stone walls and the glowing runes that pulsed like a heartbeat. He sat on the cold floor, head bowed, his wrists bound by energy cuffs that burned faintly with every movement. Yet through the pain, through the silence, he could still feel Lyra. Her heartbeat, her fear, her warmth. The bond was weak but alive. He whispered softly, "Hold on, Lyra. I'm not done yet." Hours passed. Then the door opened with a hiss and 2 guards entered, tall and armored in silver. "The Queen summons you," one said. Ryan stood without a word. His body was tired, but his eyes burned with resolve. They led him through the winding corridors into the throne room once again. The chamber was dark this time, lit only by the flickering blue fire from tall alien torches. The Queen sat on her throne, her presence like ice. Her council stood behind her silent, and in the middle of the hall stood Lyra, restrained by 2 guards, her wrists glowing with golden light. Her eyes met Ryan's instantly, and the bond between them pulsed. Ryan tried to move toward her, but the guards blocked his way. "Why are you doing this?" he demanded. The Queen rose slowly. "Because mercy is easy, human. Sacrifice is not. You think loyalty is about promises and feelings. But loyalty means choosing duty even when your heart screams against it." Ryan clenched his fists. "You've tested my loyalty enough," her voice grew colder. "No, Captain Hale, now comes the final test." She stepped down from her throne and gestured toward Lyra. "This bond of yours has grown powerful, stronger than I expected. Too strong. So now you must prove what truly matters to you. The peace you claim to serve, or the woman who holds your heart." The floor opened behind Lyra, revealing a pool of bright, swirling energy, alive and dangerous. "That is the core of truth," the Queen said. "If she is thrown into it, the bond will be erased. The pain will end. You will live. But if you resist me, if you try to stop it, both of you will die." Lyra's breath caught. "No," she cried. "He's done enough. Please." The Queen raised her hand, silencing her. "Decide, human," she said coldly. "You came to this world to earn peace. Choose her, and you lose everything you've fought for. Choose your mission, and your people will be saved. Which is it?" The room felt like it had stopped breathing. Ryan stared at the Queen, then at Lyra, whose eyes glistened with tears. Through the bond, he could feel her heart breaking. "Don't choose me," her voice whispered inside his mind. "If you die, your world loses hope. Save them." Ryan's chest tightened. "You think love is weakness," he said quietly. "But you're wrong. Love is what makes loyalty real." The Queen's gaze darkened. "Then prove it." The guards began to push Lyra toward the glowing pit. Ryan broke free from his captors, his energy cuffs sparking. "Stop!" he shouted, but the Queen's magic flared, slamming him to his knees. "You can't stop this," she said coldly. "You can only choose." The energy around Lyra flared brighter, its light reflecting in her terrified eyes. Ryan forced himself up, step by step, fighting the invisible weight crushing him. The bond between them pulsed violently. Her fear became his pain. His struggle became her strength. Then suddenly he stopped fighting her power. He closed his eyes and whispered, "If this is loyalty, then I choose both, peace and her." The Queen frowned. "Impossible." Ryan placed his hand over his heart where the bond mark still glowed. "If this bond connects 2 souls, then maybe it can connect more. Maybe loyalty isn't meant to be divided. It's meant to unite." Before she could respond, the bond exploded with light. The blue fire spread across the chamber, washing over everyone. Guards stumbled back, blinded. Lyra screamed his name as the light wrapped around them both. The Queen shielded her face. "What are you doing?" Ryan's voice echoed, calm but powerful, showing you that loyalty isn't obedience, it's faith. When the light faded, Ryan was on the floor unconscious and Lyra was kneeling beside him, her restraints shattered. The pit of energy behind her had gone dark. The Queen's power had failed. For a long moment, no one spoke. The Queen looked down at them, something unreadable in her silver eyes. Finally, she whispered, "No one has ever survived the core, not with their soul intact." Lyra cradled Ryan's head in her lap. "He's human," she said softly, tears glistening in her eyes. "He doesn't just survive. He changes everything he touches." The Queen turned away, silent. Outside, the storm began to fade, the sky clearing into a pale blue. For the first time in years, sunlight broke through the clouds over Serathia. And deep inside the Queen's heart, something she hadn't felt in centuries, doubt began to grow. The dawn came quiet and silver, like the world itself was unsure whether to breathe. The great palace of Serathia once echoing with authority, now seemed hollow. The storm had ended, but the silence it left behind was heavier than thunder. Ryan awoke slowly, lying on a soft bed this time, not the cold stone floor of a cell. His vision blurred, and for a moment he couldn't tell if he was alive or dreaming. Then, through the haze, he heard a gentle voice. "Easy. Don't move too fast," Lyra whispered, sitting beside him. Her hands were trembling as she pressed a cloth to his forehead. The glow of the bond mark on her chest shimmered faintly in rhythm with his own. Ryan tried to sit up. "Did we, survive?" Lyra nodded, her eyes wet. "You broke the Queen's control. No one's ever done that before. The entire court saw it," he gave a weak smile. "Then maybe now she'll finally understand." But before Lyra could respond, the doors opened. The Queen entered, walking slower than usual, her crown dimmer, her eyes unreadable. The guards stayed behind, no ceremony, no fanfare. Just her. Lyra stood quickly, bowing. Ryan tried to rise too, but the Queen motioned for him to stay seated. "You fought the core," she said softly. "You defied me and lived. No human or Serathian has ever done that." Ryan looked at her carefully, maybe because no one believed it could be done. For a moment, the Queen didn't speak. She looked between him and Lyra, her expression distant. "When our ancestors built this bond ritual, it was meant to test loyalty through pain. But I see now, you made it something else." Lyra's voice was barely above a whisper. "He didn't do it for power. He did it for faith. For love." The Queen's eyes flickered. "Love," she repeated the word as if it were foreign. "Among my kind, love has been seen as a weakness. It clouds judgment, bends duty." Ryan met her gaze. "No, it gives duty meaning. Without it, loyalty is just fear wearing a crown." The Queen turned toward the window where pale sunlight broke through the twin moons. For the first time, she looked uncertain. "Your kind destroyed worlds in the past, human. Yet here you stand, offering peace, risking death for someone not of your blood." Ryan smiled faintly. "Maybe that's what makes us human. We don't love because it's easy, we love because it's right." A silence stretched. Lyra took a step forward, her voice trembling. "My Queen, what happens now?" "The court will not forget this. They'll call him a danger." The Queen sighed. "They already have. Half the council demands the bond be undone, fearing what power it might bring." Ryan frowned. "And the other half?" Her silver eyes met his. "They watch and wonder if perhaps we have been blind." For a moment, the great ruler of Serathia looked almost fragile. The weight of centuries pressed behind her eyes. Wars, betrayals, endless cycles of mistrust. She whispered almost to herself, "Maybe peace was never meant to be built through control. Maybe it needs something I've forgotten." Ryan stood despite his exhaustion. "Then remember, let it start here, with us." The Queen studied him for a long time, then turned to Lyra. "You risked your life for him, child. You defied the throne." Lyra bowed her head. "If loyalty means truth, then I was loyal. I only followed what my heart knew was right." The Queen's expression softened. "And what does your heart say now?" Lyra looked at Ryan, then back at her Queen. "That humans and Serathians aren't so different. We both fear loss, we both need hope, and we both bleed for what we love." The Queen closed her eyes. "Perhaps. I have tested the wrong things." She stepped closer to them. "The council will not like my next order," she said quietly. "But I will no longer command you through fear. The bond will stay. You both will live freely under my protection." Lyra gasped. "You mean—" "Yes," the Queen interrupted softly. "He will no longer be prisoner, nor guest. He will be ally." Ryan nodded, gratitude in his voice. "Thank you, Your Majesty." But as she turned to leave, the Queen paused. Her voice lowered, her tone different, almost human. "Captain Hale, when you touched the core, something changed. Not just in this palace, but in me. For the first time in centuries, I felt compassion. Do you understand what that means to someone who has ruled through fear all her life?" Ryan looked at her with quiet respect. "It means you're alive again." The Queen didn't answer. She just gave a faint, almost invisible smile before walking away. Lyra sat beside Ryan once more, her fingers brushing his. "You changed her," she whispered. "You changed everything." He looked at the sunlight filtering through the alien sky. "No," he said softly. "We changed it together." Outside, for the first time in generations, Serathia's people saw a clear sky. The storms had ended. The Queen had spoken of peace. And far beyond the palace, whispers began to spread about the human who defied a queen and made her remember her heart. But unknown to them all, deep beneath the palace, a faint crack appeared in the ancient core that had once tried to destroy them. And within that crack, something was still alive, watching, waiting. Days passed in peace, and the alien capital began to change. Where once the Queen's banners of conquest had hung, now silver flags of unity fluttered in the warm breeze. The people whispered of the human who defied their ruler, of the bond that refused to break, and of a queen who had begun to smile again after centuries of silence. Ryan walked through the palace gardens with Lyra, their bond faint but calm. For the first time they could speak without fear of punishment. The gardens glowed with strange blue flowers that released music instead of scent, filling the air with soft hums. Lyra looked up at him and smiled. "Do you ever miss Earth?" Ryan chuckled lightly. "Every day. But lately this place, it feels a little like home." Her expression softened. "You gave us something we'd forgotten. Hope." Before he could reply, the ground trembled. A deep rumble shook the air like thunder rising from the earth itself. The flowers fell silent. From the distance came shouts, guards running toward the lower chambers. Ryan's instincts sharpened instantly. "That's coming from beneath the palace, the core." Lyra's face went pale. "No, it can't be." "The Queen sealed it after your trial." He grabbed her hand. "Then it's breaking free." They ran through the corridors as alarms echoed across the palace. The once peaceful halls glowed red with warning lights. When they reached the Queen's chamber, they found her standing before the viewing crystal, eyes wide with disbelief. "The core," she whispered. "It's awakening on its own." Ryan stepped forward. "What do you mean, on its own?" Her voice trembled slightly, something unheard of before. "When you defied my command, when the bond refused to break, you changed the core. It was built to test loyalty through pain. Now it's trying to understand compassion. It's confused." The ground split with another tremor. A beam of blue light burst from the floor, crackling with energy. The ancient runes that once surrounded the ritual circle began to pulse violently. Lyra cried out, clutching her chest. "The bond, it's pulling me!" Ryan caught her as she stumbled. The mark on her chest was glowing brighter, responding to the core's energy. "It's feeding on us," he realized. "It's trying to reach through the bond." The Queen turned sharply. "If it merges with you, both of you will die. The core doesn't understand limits, it consumes what it touches." Ryan tightened his hold on Lyra. "Then we stop it." The Queen's eyes widened. "You can't stop it, human. It's older than our civilization." Ryan met her gaze. "Maybe. But it's connected to us now. That means I can reach it." He looked down at Lyra, her eyes full of fear and trust. "Stay with me," he whispered. Together they stepped into the glowing circle. The energy surged around them, and in an instant, the world vanished. Ryan opened his eyes to find himself standing in an endless expanse of light, inside the core itself. Memories and emotions floated like fragments around him. Anger, love, betrayal, peace, all blending together. A voice echoed through the light, soft yet vast. "Human, why do you resist?" He looked around. "Because you're hurting her." "She is part of you," the voice replied. "Your bond changed my purpose. I was made to measure loyalty, not feel it. Now I cannot tell the difference." Ryan took a deep breath. "Loyalty isn't something you measure, it's something you choose. It's love that stays, even when it hurts." The light pulsed violently. "Love causes pain." "Yes," Ryan said quietly. "But without pain, there's no meaning." For a long moment the core was silent. Then slowly, the light dimmed, its energy softening around them. Ryan felt Lyra's hand in his again. Her voice echoed faintly. "Ryan, I can see it. It's learning." He smiled faintly. "Then let's teach it." The core began to hum like a living thing, Its light turned from blue to white, spreading outward, washing over everything. Outside, the palace guards shielded their eyes as the beam reached the sky. The queen fell to her knees, whispering, "He did it. He's calming it." When the light faded, Ryan and Lyra stood in the center of the hall, unharmed. The core had sealed itself once more, its energy now glowing softly beneath the floor like a heartbeat. Lyra looked around in awe. "It's peaceful." The queen approached them slowly, her eyes softer than ever. "You didn't just save Serathia. You saved something far greater. The core no longer seeks pain, it seeks balance." Ryan nodded weakly. "Maybe now. Loyalty will mean understanding, not fear." The queen placed a hand on his shoulder. "You came here a stranger. You leave as part of us. Humanity has proven more than I ever believed possible." Lyra smiled through tears. "And what happens now?" The queen looked up toward the dawn light filtering through the broken roof. "Now we rebuild, not as rulers and servants, but as allies." Ryan turned to Lyra, the bond between them glowing faintly like a living flame. "Then let's start a new chapter," he said softly. "One written by both our worlds." Lyra nodded, her voice trembling with emotion. "Together, always." Outside, the twin moons shone once more, their light falling gently on the peaceful city. And deep beneath the palace, the core pulsed with quiet rhythm, not as a weapon of judgment, but as the heart of a new beginning. For the first time in recorded history, humans and Serathians shared one truth: loyalty born not of fear but of love. And under the glowing sky, Ryan whispered to Lyra, "Maybe this is what the universe needed all along, a little humanity,